If you have questions, concerns, and are just lost when it comes to planning for retirement, meet Steve Hoyle and Derek Caldwell of the Hoyle Financial Group. You know, in the golfing world, they say mulligan is the word for do-over. So it got me thinking here, in the retirement world, that when deciding when to take Social Security, it locks in that level of benefits for life, meaning one time only, don't pass go, you can't change it. But is there, in fact, ways to maybe have a mulligan when it comes to taking Social Security, Steve?
Well, Jess, that's a great question. For most people, there are not. But I had a lady come see us a couple of years ago, and she came in and said, last month I elected my Social Security. I'm 62, and this lady I work with told me to turn it on. I'm like, wait a minute. You make $220,000 a year. The clawback is going to be 60% of that money every month. Wait a minute. So we contacted Social Security. We got it put on hold. She cut a check, sent it certified, took forever to get it worked out. But she went back and was able to preserve her 8% roll-up. That's exactly what I said, Jess. 8%. When she understood that she could roll up from 62 all the way to between 66 and 67 at 8%, which we call full retirement age. But when I really showed her the numbers, if she waited all the way to age 70, it was a total game changer. And let me tell you why. I mean, her mom lived to be 96. I mean, her dad died at 93. I mean, she's going to be here a while, most likely. I'm like, you know what? With 9.5% inflation, you're going to need that on your side. And she said, game on. There's also ways to suspend benefits and do that. But what I think is when you have knowledge on your side and you really sit down and study taking Social Security at the right age, that's what it's about. Don't make that mistake, Jess. It can make hundreds of thousands of dollars of difference taking Social Security at the right time. And in the early years, I think I was 27 years old. Think about this. I've been in the business for 2 years. And, this lady in Borger, Texas called and said, I need that Steve guy to come out and see me. Call my office. And so I went by there. I'll never forget. She opened the door and said, could you wait a minute? She's just cute as a button. But the funny thing was, Jess, she came out and said, I need to do something with this. And Jess, she walked out with a Ritz cracker box. And Lord have mercy, I looked at that box, and Jess, it was just lined up full of $100 bills. And she said, I want to put this in one of your, rates were like 6 or 7 back then. I want to put this money at 7%. And I said, first, I don't want to know how much cash you have. Well, I mean, it's about $32,000. I'm like, whoa. Well, you could just take it, and get a check. And no, people go to jail for that. So,
no, let's do it the right way.
I'm like, first of all, you probably need to square up with the IRS on this. I don't want to know whether you pay taxes or not. But I said, I'll be over here next week. And if you want to give me a $32,000 check and, between you and God and the IRS is how those taxes are paid, then we can do something with it. And fast forward the next week, I go back over and she's got a check made payable to Steve Hoyle, cashier's check.
Right, yeah. Oh, wow.
Now we even have a bigger problem. The $100 bill doesn't have my name on it, but the check does. I'm like, you're going to have to go back to the bank and tell them that Steve Hoyle didn't take this check.
That's right.
I mean, just endorse the back of it different to that company. No. People go to jail for that, okay? And
right.
So, a week after next, we finally got it right and picked up the check. And, we ended up getting her like 7% on that. I'll never forget after she passed away and I met with her daughter and I kind of started telling her daughter the story and she said, oh, that's my mother. She said, there's a lot more of those. She said, there's a lots more than those Ritz cracker box full of cash, Oh,
wow. Well, that's what I was going to say is, it's interesting. You got folks that they joke about it, but there are still people, guys, that put money in the mattress, under the mattress, in the brick wall, in a Ritz cracker box. And I guess do what you want, but at the same time, you're leaving that money, first of all, to chance, but also it doesn't have any potential to grow, right, Steve?
That's exactly right. So we talk a lot we're talking about do-it-overs. You know what? She did it well, but think about even at 2-3% interest over 20 years, all the mattress money, all jokes aside, it's serious. I mean, people have big fears and they handle money all different ways. But, the great thing about it is if you contact somebody like us and get time on your side, let's say 2 or 3 years before retirement, we don't have to worry about do-it-overs. Just so many of our clients came to see us during COVID and they had a plan. They had plenty of emergency money. They had plenty of income money. So I think it's really important, whether we're talking about Social Security, whether we're talking about income, whether we're talking about legacy planning, when you have time and knowledge and on your side, that's what it's about. So last week in Austin, had a cute couple come in and sit down, and she looked at me and said, Mr. Hoyle, he drugged me here. I said, well, that's a whole different thing. I hope he brought you here. But anyway, but we sat down and she said, I just care nothing about money. And I said, well, what happens honestly is sometimes the spouse is left behind and you need to know what's going on. And she kind of perked up and we had a great conversation. But when you really sit down and talk about your money and talk about what's important to you, what's your biggest goal, but also what is your biggest fear? And then talk about what is the biggest objective with you to overcome. And just so often we talk about do-overs, people come to see me that are my age and say, Mr. Hoyle, Mr. Steve, my family calls me Stevie. Let me tell you something. My parents or my aunt or my uncle or my friend or my neighbor lost so much money in 2008. Sure. I'm not going there. Put my money safe. Jess, we just dealt with a airline pilot and his lovely wife that are in their mid-40s, and we got their money safe because their parents went broke in 2008 over that market, okay? The knowledge is on the wall. He brought me that article off CNN or Fox or MSNBC that said in 2024, that the market is going to suffer the largest correction in the history of my lifetime or his lifetime. And you know what? But Jess, what he loved about it was he didn't need to do it over. When you get your money safe out of harm's way, okay, and you lock it in and you have the potential to make 12% of the movement in the market, but if the market's negative, zero becomes your hero. That's what it's about. So don't tell me, in closing, talking about doing overs, people come to tell me and they say, I made 12% this year. I made 17%. But what they forget to tell me is about the negative 32%. They don't remember that. So if you want to make sure you have a plan and you're not having to do it over, you need to call the team at Hoyle Financial. We'll sit down, we'll come up with a plan and show you, one, how to have income, save money, but mitigate the risk. And of those three things, the ones that matters the most is mitigating the risk.
If you'd like to sit down with Steve and Derek or a member of the Hoyle Financial Group, visit retiretexasstyle.com.
Hoyle Financial is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Bonus annuities may include higher surrender charges, longer surrender charge periods, lower caps, higher spreads, or other restrictions that are not included in similar annuities that do not offer a premium bonus feature. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Hoyle Financial Group, Texas Insurance License 1719183.